G'day legends, I've been getting a heap of followers asking for a video explaining the gear I use for Bream and how I target them on soft plastics. So yes, I'm going to do that in this episode. Okay, firstly, the best way to target Bream on soft plastics is to use appropriate gear, such as a 1 to 3 kilo rod matched with a 1000 to 2500 spinning reel and spooled with braid from 4 to 12 pound, and of course a light leader from 4 to 8 pound. One of the main rods I use is this Shimano 1 to 3 kilo Raider stick. It's matched for 2500 Naski, and it's spooled with 10 pound Kariki braid, and it's just to get me that little further when flicking plastics, as it's quite thin and you can feel all the hits you can get on the plastic. And I use 10 pound just in case I bump into a few Metro Reds and Mulloway on the way. But yeah, I highly recommend the combo for the Bream. Secondly, leader. Fluorocarbon is a must for me and is ideal as it is less visible in the water. As said previously, a light leader is also a must. Anywhere from 4 to 8 pound is suitable for Bream while using soft plastics. But remember though, choosing a leader with a thinner diameter means you are sacrificing strength and an element of abrasion resistance. When I use leader, the first couple of things I look for is 1, line diameter, and 2, line visibility. That's why I choose to use the Black Magic fluorocarbon leader, and another favourite is the new Deception leaders. The Deception leaders are not fluorocarbon but work just as good as it is pink, and as fish have trouble with seeing the colour pink, this leader is great and is made for fishing murkier waters such as estuaries. The light leaders not only look near invisible in the water but also cast further and makes your soft plastic work better in the water column, and this makes it look natural too. Yes, you can put heavier lead on, but it would decrease your catch rate as it sacrifices these key elements. Thirdly, jig heads and soft plastic choice. When it comes to jig head weight and soft plastic choice, from 1/20th to 1/8 ounce is the best jig head weight to use for Bream. I personally use 1/16th and 1/12 ounce jig heads for my fishing situations, as they work great with the plastics I use and the environment I fish in. When it comes to jig heads, I like it to sink down the water column with a natural sink rate, and of course my first preference for soft plastic styles would be a grub or curly tail soft plastic, something like the new squidgy Biotuff grubs and double tail rubs, as they have been slaying both the Metro Bream and many other species already. The first time I used them, I landed multiple fish. A perfect size would be in a 2.5 inch, and I prefer using natural colours such as a watermelon and pumpkin seed, as these match the food source these fish are feeding on, from worms and small crustaceans to small bait fish. When using soft plastics, it is better to use plastics that imitate what the fish are feeding on. This can vary in different locations, so that means it is always good to mix things up with colours and styles. Example, if the fish are feeding on more bait fish other than worms and crabs, then a bait fish style plastic would work best. The best way to work these grub style plastics is to let it sink down the water column naturally with the curly tail doing most of the work. Then as soon as it hits the bottom, let it sit for a couple of seconds, then start to wind slowly and twitch the rod tip as it is in a slow retrieve back to the surface. So hit the bottom now, a few twitches up while slow retrieve, let it go back down. And keep doing that till you cover ground, and hopefully there's some interested bream in the lure. This makes the plastic look like an injured baitfish gasping for oxygen, or a shrimp or crab trying to get away. Keep doing this until you cover ground and find the interested fish. When the bream are in a feeding mood, they will go mental over it, but when they are not, they will either have a little look at the plastic and take it, or swim off. Lastly, when and where to find these fish. Okay, bream can be targeted anytime throughout the day, but the best times to target these bream for me is in the mornings and afternoons. Yes, nighttime is also suitable, but is more productive when using baits. Tides also impact the fishing, as these bream have a regular routine around it. For example, during low tide, In an estuary, there are muddy and sandy banks allowing the small crustaceans such as crabs to crawl out of their holes and do whatever they do. As the tide starts to come up, these bream can start to move in close to these banks and feed amongst these crabs when ideal to reach them. So that means there are so many options on how to target these fish. So personally, I like to fish incoming tide as these fish aren't too far away from the banks, and most of the time these bream will be in a feeding mood waiting for the food source to literally jump in front of them. As said, when finding these fish, you can find them amongst the boundaries of banks and around structure such as pylons and rocks, as mussels and small crustaceans like to hang and hide within it. The great part about catching bream is that it is all catch and release for me. And these black bream take a long time to grow, so it is best to release them and watch them swim off, ready to fight another day and sustain the numbers. Just a fact for you guys, a 40cm black bream is actually around 20 years old. So I hope you enjoy this little episode, guys, and got something out of it. Now go and catch some cracking bream. See you next time.
Off he goes.